Alright, so we are live tonight. A little bit later than last week, obviously. Last week was Super Bowl Sunday, so pardon my voice. Hopefully it holds out tonight. And then over the weather, dealing with some type of sinus, bronchitis, who knows what kind of nonsense. So, extending on last week's list with Xenagod, God of Rebels. I did mention that, maybe you'd want to work on maybe a Minsc and Boo shell is a little bit better. This is kind of in between the Minsc and Boo shell, or the Xenagod shell that we did last week, which had a bunch of top end. I think one of the problems with that is the deck was a little bit too set up on the concept of trying to get the game over with one big fatty, and if your opponent either dealt with that fatty or could outrace that fatty, or deal with it, that just wasn't sufficient, and it did feel like we didn't have quite enough interaction for what our opponent was dealing with. So a couple of things I did was lower the overall curve of the deck. I also included a lot more of the Landfall and Earthbend stuff from the more recent sets. So this isn't quite pound for pound like a Tifa list, but there is still quite a bit of Landfall in the deck. Whether I'm facilitating things like Tifa, whether I'm facilitating things like Bristly Bill, Scythecath Cub, Pox, Mightform Harvester. There's a lot of things in this deck that are trying to set up a Landfall and taking advantage of Landfall. One new addition to this build of Gruul, Aggro, whatever you want to call it, is Renin 6 to pick up your lands. In addition to the Ice Till, I also included a copy of Ramonap Excavator, so we have 3 different ways to pick up lands from our graveyard. I did cut a lot of the top end. I did put the Xenagod back into the main, making Minsc and Boo the commander. I left the Thrun, Breaker of Silence, as my kind of control beat of choice. Obviously, you could go with Carnage Tyrant. Thrun is a little bit cheaper, and can be a little bit more difficult, or come down a little bit earlier. And then, as far as the top end, I left Primeval Titan just to continue to ramp us, hit more land drops. Cirque and Goreclaw. I wanted a couple different things in here that would allow us to Defense of the Heart into a win. Xenagod and Cirque and Goreclaw. It is possible I have too many of these specs now. When you think about it, I have, as far as things that grant haste, Rhythm of the Wild with Riot. Non-token creatures have Riot. Halana and Elena can also give haste until end of turn with its beginning of combat trigger. Xenagod and Cirque and Goreclaw, as well as Arena of Glory and one of the lands in here, Amon Kahet Raceway. So I almost feel like I might have too many ways of giving haste. And then as far as counterspell, anti-counterspell stealth, Allosaurus Rider, Delighted Halfling. Obviously, we could do something like Hexing Sculpture, but I already feel like between that, Domri Chaos Bringer, that one doesn't prevent from counter spells. But we do have those two. We have a Cavern of Souls, although we have a lot of different creature types, so that's going to be hard to name. A little bit of a toolbox with Green Sun Zenith and Nature's Rhythm. And then the backdoor way, or the other way of winning besides, one big creature beat down like Tifa and the Emrakul Xenagod or Emrakul Cirque Goreclaw win is just making a bunch of creatures and then killing them with a Craterhoof Behemoth. So we'll see if this approach is a little bit better. To that end, we do have things like Shoot Swarm and Springheart and Tuco in the deck. So we'll see if this approach is a little bit better or not over last week's outings. I don't know if Minsc and Boo is going to change our pairings all that much as well, because I know it can be a higher end commander. Minsc, obviously, you know, it's a way to draw cards, it's a way to deal a lot of damage to your opponent, and you also have the flying ability of the Planeswalker itself, so. Alright, we're up against Keithis. Yeah, we'll try this one. Play Delighted Halfling. Keithis could be a combo, but most likely a graveyard. Yeah, sure. It's possible we should have played Szaz or whatever. Trigger. Tender. Trigger that. Probably just going to grab the Surveil land. That one's not terrible. It is a colorless land, which kind of sucks, but cast Keithis, and then Bloom Tender allows them to cast something else. Bloom Elter. Myth Wizard Pox. Alright, so the opponent has access to a lot of mana. Sure. Glyph. Let's go ahead and name sure. Captain Sisay. Not really the best board to be playing Minsc on, but Assassin's Trophy, it's kind of annoying. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. So if we draw a land, sure. So they're quasi super friends, quasi. Not really sure that was necessary, but I guess if you have Paradox Engine here, nope, just another Planeswalker, and they get to exile Xenagod. Well, that was a bit of a butt whooping. Expecting that to be more of like a combo deck, but I guess it ended up being a Super Friends deck instead. Sithis. Okay. So enchantments. His hand is super slow. We have no plays till turn 3. I just don't think that's good enough. His hand's a little bit better, or at least has the potential to be a little bit better. Okay, so I guess we'll go ahead. I think we grab Stomping Ground here. Play out the Lighted Halfling. Castle Gurnberg gets to come down for untapped. Sessionist. Okay, so do this. Play that. Double our power. Set this. Processionist, sure. Excuse me? Okay, that's gonna get annoying real quick. Alright, so Bristly Bill. Fetch land. Let's go and mute our opponent. Grab. None of these lands come into play untapped, unfortunately. So I guess we grab Commercial District. Nope. Can go ahead and pitch that one. Does our opponent have a remove spell? Light Halfling. Basically a free card. No blocks. Alright, so waiting for our opponent to figure something out. Feels like they have something, I just don't know what. I mean, Alcide can certainly protect it, but I also figured, yeah. It's kind of what I was figuring was going on there, that there was something funky in. And we'll just pass. Yeah, we got another. Nissa, draw a card. Okay, sure. Okay. Can't really protect Minsc and Boo here. So is it Provisioner? Let's go and grab Highland Forest. Treasure token. Treasure token. We'll hold the forest for now. Topia Sprawl, draw a card. Yeah, I guess we take 6. Yeah, we have another way to kill it. Had to mute our opponent because I have a feeling they'd be talking a lot. Yep, sheltered by ghosts, sure. Of course, they're all going to get pitched because they can't cast them, but... let's go after sheltered by ghosts since they can't protect it. Oh, they can protect it. Yay. So annoying. Green. Yeah, let's just move on. I don't know if it's because the commander we're choosing or... We'll try one or two, but if we keep getting mashed into the hell queue when I'm operating on what I think is a lower power-ish deck, I think I may switch it back to Xenagod being the commander with Minsc and Boo in the 7 in the 99. Elfest Stormslayer. Try it, I guess. Castles, sure. Treasure map, sure. That's Earthbound Ascension. Do that. Grab that. Sure. Yep. Okay, so Lostborn Hydra, Hail Hydra, double its number of +1/+1 counters, go and attack with our land. Sure. 1, 2, 3. I think we put our opponent to the test here. Play this. Play Defense of the Heart. Say go. It's gonna have to Wrath. da. Blocks. Okay. Sacrifice that. Emrakul. Xenagod. Combat. Emrakul. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. Alright, Defense of the Heart. Emrakul plus Xenagod. Basically 30 hasty damage out of nowhere. With flying and can't be targeted by instance. And Xenagod, Ghost God of Rebels being an enchantment, it's indestructible. There's a lot less things that can deal with it as well, especially at instant speed. So if Defense of the Heart ever resolves and... Alright! I mean... That username's about as subtle as a... No, they're playing Ureni, which is your team or dragon deck, and their username is Big Ween. Like I said, ain't no subtlety there. Nice. Alright, so play out Nissa, pass. So, I mean, technically next turn we can play Minsc and Boo. Do we want to do that though? Actually, both of... Nope, because Garenberg will come in untapped. Okay, Selena where else? Sure. Dare to be Dargans. Yeah. Red. Okay. Create a Minsc. Got ourselves a little furball. Little furball go burr. Is this member non-token creature you control enters if you don't have the same name? Okay. Problem is our opponent may just be able to start Dargan. Ancient Copper Dargan. Do I fling the Minsc and Boo? Or... So if we do this... Damage to any target. Alright. That is a very scary card. Alright. So, guess we'll do Guardian Project, and then play that. Nothing we can cast. Because that has the potential to let them cast a whole lot of nonsense. 5, 6. Okay, so they're going to let Minsc live, potentially. Holy! Of course they hit the mother load. Lathless, sure. Into Urani. Lathless makes a 5/5 Dargon. Urani is going to hit something, potentially. Terror of the Peaks. Yep, something's getting shot. Looks like it's Minsc. Which we kind of figured. It's after Nissa instead. Still has 9 mana. Yikes. Good thing that was post-combat. Start by casting Azusa. Draw a card. Obviously, this would be a lot better if our opponent hadn't gone and killed our Alright. I think we're just dead here, unfortunately, because of the overwhelming power of the Dargons. Still have one card in hand. It's interesting that they have an interaction piece still. I can certainly go to the graveyard. Okay. And on that note, we're going to go and concede. Whole lot of hand waving for not a whole lot much. So the one thing I will say about this week is at least we've seen some unique commanders compared to what we normally see. Can't even tell you the last time I've seen Kethis as a commander, or Ureni for that matter. Eshki. It's another teamer deck. I think this hand is just too awkward and slow. This hand's fine. Keep. Okay, so play Landfall Elves. The heck is that thing? Alright, so Chocobo. Delighted Halfling. Fetch land. Sure. So yeah, 5 mana on turn 1. Total of 4 mana. Guess we go with yep. She doesn't actually target creatures, does it? No. Alright. Draw a card. Deals damage to Eshki's power. Okay. Green. Let's get Minsc and Boo rolling. Sure. It's currently... That's terrifying. Draws a card. Four, 5, 6. Deals 2 damage to each power for each of those cards. Sure. So basically we need an untap land that do it? That's 5 mana, 6, 7. And then silly green. Say hello to my little friends. So I don't think this deck is perfect or perfectly tuned. I think a lot of the work I've done with playing Tifa as a deck, not necessarily on camera, and then working on Xenagod a couple of times, you know, we've kind of gotten to see all 3 game plans executed. 2 of the 3 worked. The Landfall thing, I think if I would have sequenced a little bit better with Tifa against Sithis, we might have had a chance. Granted, I don't know if they could convoke out that Swords to Plowshares at any time anyway. We've gotten to see the Defense of the Heart, Emrakul, whatchamacallit plan. I love Defense of the Heart, don't get me wrong, but I don't think we can keep this hand. Alright, this hand is acceptable, I guess. It's going to be very reliant on Minsc and Boo to do some heavy lifting. Okay. So, Tireless Provisioner, go. Would not mind drawing another card. Okay. Make a treasure token. Play Guardian Project. Pop you for 2. Is their entire strategy hinged upon Rafine? Ledger Shredder holding up whatchamacallit. So play that. Play Rhythm. Don't know if that's Swords or if that is Wash Away. Preacher of the Schism. Don't have any fetch lands in my graveyard. That's kind of annoying. It's kind of a useless draw. They actually going to kill that to push more damage. Masters does nothing on its own, although it is going to punish us a little bit because of whatchamacallit, potentially. 2, 3, 4, 5. So that does get to connive, which is annoying. This trigger. So that's interesting. Doesn't trigger Guardian Project, but it does trigger... oh boy. Ruh-roh, Raggy. Say they're able to load up on Swooping Lookout, right? Assume the one that's they go after. Take a fairly decent hit here. Each. The heck? Legendary permanent you control has Ward 2. Alright, so let's try for this. Well, it does get to connive again. Ooh. Tifa comes down. +1/+1 counter. Okay, let's play that. Treasure token. Crack it. So the problem I think we have is our opponent is very consistently held up this mana, which tells me that they very likely have wash away as a thing. So granted, green spells can't be countered, right? I mean, if they have a way to kill us here, it kind of sucks. Shoulder of the Apocalypse. That's fine. So Kanai for a metric crap ton. Yikes. Okay, so one gains a bunch of life, that's whatever. So total of a whole heck of a lot of power. So that is, this definitely needs to block that. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We'll lose 2 from drawing a card. This is only, wasn't the same name, draw a card. So currently I need 2 mana, 5 mana, so I need 7 mana. I don't think mana is going to be a problem. Give us a little bit more breathing room. And we got a 4. Minsc and Boo can't be countered. Granted, I don't think we're not beating swords here. Consistently lose to swords every time. There's not much we can do about that, unfortunately. How did the opponent draw a card there? Oh well, I mean, at least we had a plan. It wasn't a great plan, but it was a plan nonetheless. So we would have pumped that to 5. Tifa would have been pumped to 5. Then first landfall trigger doubles her to 10, 20, 40. With 6 power blockers back, yeah, that would have been lethal. Clive, Ifrit's dominant. Alright. I think we mulligan this one. I mean, yes, we have exploration, but this hand doesn't really have another plan to develop at the moment. This hand goes turn 2 into Oracle of Moldiah, and then a whole lot of ramping from there, so yeah, I'm inclined to keep this one. Do have the tap land problem, but go and grab the basic land. Yep. Dolmery, Anarcho Bolus. Do that. Grab Commercial District. That one's not terrible, but I do think we can do better. Magus of the Moon, eh? Draw one of our basic forests. Yep. Could have used the Misty to grab a basic forest. I never think about things like Magus. I always think of it as such a dumb card. But, you know, you're playing to win, you gotta play to win, I suppose. Yeah, we're not going to be able to recover in time, so we'll take one more draw step. Yep, should have, that game would have been a lot different if I would have fetched for basic forest, and then we just would have been able to continue to ramp, and we would have been able to get some big bodies out and probably have won. There's been a couple games now that, if I had sequenced correctly or played around some stuff, we would have had a much... If not won, we would have had a much better chance of winning. Warrior of Light. Okay, so we're up against Legends. Top land is our only green source. Yeah, I think we can do better. This hand is theoretically a little bit better, at least. Alright, turn one that. Flare of Cultivation. Grab a basic forest, grab a basic mountain, mountain to play, rest is land drop, play Allosaurus Rider. Yeah, that says green spells can't be countered. Oh no. Yep. Wash Away is such a fun card, except when your opponent is overly prepared for it. Figure they're going to play Joda here. Mm-hmm. Yep. Actually, I have a 0, Mox Amber. Okay. Two, which is Harar. And Tifa into a 1-drop, which is Ashnod. Yep. Doesn't have trample, so we'll just go ahead and do that. Alright. Play Guardian Project. So I'm pretty sure we're dead here, but Cardi's I don't care about Golos. Yep. Still think their last card in hand is probably a Wash Away. So Give it one more run. I think we'll call it an evening. Against Ugin. Okay. So if we find a third land, this hand could potentially be good, so we'll keep it. Okay. Alright, that is a third land. Can we set up a 1 TK? Alright, does Tifa die? Does not. So for they have some type of wonderful historic thing they can put on here. Rounding up excavator. See what you put in play. Yeah, couldn't care less about Lamog. The Iron Crag, sure. Do you have another mana? You do not. Sure. So let's go ahead and warp this in. Crack the land. Basic. Trigger. Alright, so we'd go to 32 power. 32 power, pushing through all that would be 20 damage, plus the other 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I would have gotten there. So. Can't really argue leaving up on a high note. So what do I think of this one versus the other version last week? I still think I would need to tweak some of the slots. Probably want it's really kind of hard to say. Sazaz, I'm not sure on this one. It was just a Landfall 1 drop that I'm not terribly sad about, especially if you have in your opening hand. Allosaurus Rider, this consistently ticked off blue decks, mission accomplished. The rest of these are all pretty self-explanatory. Primamite could be okay. Could be better, potentially as Blizzard Brawl, depending on how many Snowlands we can consistently get into play. Didn't really get to see much of Badger Mole Cub. Outland Liberator is just another answer to artifacts and enchantments besides Kolga or Kogla, whatever. Stomp is another way. Obviously, it's a tap dual land plus quasi-fight card. Running 6 was fun in a couple spots. Clothis we never really see, but I mean it is slow graveyard hate and slow ramp. Could be okay. This is one of the slots that I kind of question. Cabarati Rebels, kind of hard to say. A lot of these cards are just good cards overall. Defense of the Heart, getting the combo is just nice. It's really hard to point out a lot of these cards and go, yeah, that card sucks, that card's this. Guardian Project was pretty good, if a bit slow. Craterhoof did what we wanted it to do. We kind of got a go wide board and beat our opponent. I mean, we lost one game to me not fetching a basic when I was thinking I should have just fetched a basic. 1 or 2 games. Tifa was heavily featured throughout this set of matches. It is certainly possible that I should have been a little bit more, or have a protection spell or 2 for Tifa and Mossborn Hydra as kind of being the 2 landfall beatdown creatures, with Sazaz being a distant third. And obviously, Thrun wasn't terribly impressive the one time, but then again we were against Joda. But it was nice to just jam an uncounterable spell in there and then get going with Minsc and Boo on it. So, let me know in the comments what you think, as far as the strategies of what this deck was trying to employ. I feel like there still should be more saving and a little bit of interaction in this deck. I'm not sure what I would cut to get a little bit more interaction, honestly, though. But, yeah, I kind of like the core of this so far. Probably work on tweaking it a little bit more. But as always, if you like Brawl content, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I hope to see you for the next one.